Hi, my name is Ia and I Om. I'm 38 years old, I live in Brooklyn, and I'm the curriculum director for an education company. I've been Oming for about 13 years. I'm usually the one that's overlooked. Not only that, but growing up in an Asian family, there wasn't a lot of affection in the household. It's usually more criticism, comparing me to my five other sisters and what I'm not doing well most of the time. Things that I was doing well, which is in education, was never really amplified or acknowledged or anything. It's usually just more of like, what can you do better? When I was little, I would cry. My mom would usually say, why are you crying? Like, don't cry about that. And so there was a lot of shutting down of emotions. Saying things like what was going well was very hard for me. It was more of one where I was responsible, had to be responsible, couldn't show any emotions. Like I blamed the culture a lot. It was something that brought me a lot of pain. And so I wanted to distance myself away from it as much as possible and just focus on my academics. When I first started Oming, in the beginning was a lot of numbness. And then after the numbness, there would be pleasure. And then after that, I would start to feel other emotions. Sadness would start to come up, for instance, or anger would start to come up. And these were emotions that were coming up in my practice. There were times in my own practice where I would just cry throughout whole Om. Through the practice, I learned how to just stay present with myself in those moments. I think that's one of the richest experience for me. For 15 minutes, just go through these waves of emotions that will come up. All I have to do is just stay there and be with myself and feel those emotions and let it wash through me. Om taught me a lot about receiving. Growing up, I didn't receive a lot of compliments. There was a lot of criticism. And so whenever anybody gave me a compliment, I would usually deflect it. Like whenever people give me compliments, I would always say, oh, well, someone else did it, or someone else contributed to it, or, I got this thing on sale. One of the things that the practice did for me was open me up to actually being able to feel expressions of love, and feel compliments, to recognize in myself, like, oh, wow, I can see that. Like, these pants do look great on me. This shirt do look great on me. I never gave that to myself. And whenever people gave that to me, I wouldn't take it either. Om is a practice. It's something that I set aside and do on a regular basis. I have the Om at a certain time, no matter what, no matter how my day went. That kind of attention to my practice also helped me in developing attention and discipline in other parts of my life. And so desire being one of them. Like a desire comes up, ask for it. A desire comes up and I don't ask for it, okay, I'll get it again next time, And so it's this thing that actually requires attention and discipline. Like nourishing yourself requires that kind of discipline. It's not something that I can just write off and wait until later, until I'm like dried up and and grumpy or angry, but actually no, like this is actually important. Like my body is important. So the way that I was brought up was to be able to do really well, like study really hard. The discipline that I had was very rigorous in a sense, rigorous and achievement oriented, where I'm always putting this discipline into areas in my life of how I can actually make myself better then. And one of the things that I learned to do through the practice is actually using those same rigor and discipline to something as simple as nourishing myself. So as simple as having an own practice where every day I'm being fed, every day I'm feeling sensation in my body. Pleasure was not something that I focused on. Pleasure was like a fleeting moment that I would have if I'm lucky. Or having a good time with my friends and going out and having a good time was something that I saved until like the end of the weekend. Through the practice, I kind of flip things around on my to-do list. If these are the things that I'm focusing on, when I actually get to the work itself, it feels nourishing versus something that I have to grind myself through. When I started doing this practice and learning a lot about the philosophy, a lot of it was because I'm doing this because I lacked a certain nutrient, growing up, like lacked that love and touch and intimacy growing up. And so I did it for that. I thought that I would have to completely cut off a certain part of myself in order to have that, like cut off my Asian heritage. One of the amazing things about the practice is, like the practice of Om is something that it includes all parts of yourself. It's not about rejecting my past, but it's actually more about including all of those parts of myself and having all of those parts come with me so that I'm a whole human being. The practice is about curiosity, like how do you actually become curious about the sensations that you're feeling in the moment. As I actually learned how to understand more about the practice, I also brought that same curiosity over to my heritage and learned more about like why the tradition is the way that it is. Learned more about like why my mom is strict the way that she is. She just didn't all of a sudden one day became strict. These principles were instilled in her for a reason, and she passed it over to me for a reason, and I'm grateful for that now. The more I opened up this femininity in me and this woman in me, the more I can actually relate to my mom, not just as a mom, but actually see her as a woman and see her as someone who raised 9 kids basically like on her own and implemented some really beautiful values into us. My relationship with my mom is like one of the things that changed over time, and I attribute that change to my relationship with the practice and how the practice has opened me up as a woman. My name is Zia, and I own.